This could be bad. This could be bad.
Oh, boy. My name is Bruce, and I'm an alcoholic. Wrong person, that's next week. I'm a friend of Don's. I've been a friend of Don's since we attended Huron College together. So that takes it to 60 plus years. And it's been a fun friendship. It's been a lot of laughs between us over those years, and a lot of water under the bridge, and good things, bad things, whatever. Life has gone on, and he's always been a good friend. I want to tell you a bit about some of the funny instances, just a couple. I'm not going to drag this on forever. And Don's friendship and my friendship with him and his with me has sometimes been one of practical jokes and trying to get the other guy on something that would embarrass him a little. So I'm going to relate a two-part story. This took place in the late 60s, so the memories are a little faded, if you can understand that. And it involved a movie theater. It involved the fact that my wife and my wife of 58 years, and the reason I know what Don's birthday is because I get a happy anniversary note from Don on April 21st, and we also send a happy birthday to Don on April 21st of each year. In any event, my wife and I were going to the movie theater. And the movie theater, I believe, was the Highland Theater, but it may have been called something different in those days on Northcliffe Road. And back in the 60s, as some of you will remember, movies was a big event. You know, people would, there's no online purchasing, obviously. People would line up along the street, go and get their ticket, go and sit down. And on weekends particularly, movie theaters were full, the bigger ones were. So Judith and I show up, just ourselves, just two of us, going to this movie. She reminds me, she thinks it was The Sound of Music.
It was The Sound of
Music. It was The Sound of Music. Okay. And we got our tickets, we went in and got our seat, got there early enough to get a seat, mostly in the center, but halfway down. So once got seated, I then did my usual routine to go back to the concession area and buy popcorn, which I did. So once I got the popcorn at the back, I looked in and there's Don. We didn't go to the theater with Don, but there's Don standing in the middle of the road talking to Judith. So I said, I can't let this opportunity pass by. And in those days, they had ushers at the movie theater. As some of you may remember, ushers had flashlights to escort people in, I guess, when the theater was starting up and help them out. I went to the usher and I said, that man is bothering my heart. I did it with a straight face. And the usher, being a very beautiful guy, with flashlight in hand, goes marching down the aisle and I stood at the back where all this is going on, into the center row, and whatever, started talking to Don. You see hands sort of flying, and Don's looking all around, trying to figure out what's going on. Judith is still herself trying to figure out what's going on. So finally I see Don with the usher coming out of the row and up the aisle, with everybody watching. And I said, this is perfect. And once I don't know where I was standing back there, so he must have seen me or something. So he sort of got on to what was going on, and all I can remember him saying is, I'll get you. I'll get you. And this was sort of typical of what we're all about. So the evening went, everything was fine, life goes on. About 5 years later, maybe around the early 70s, mid-70s, our lives have changed a bit. At that point in time, Don had joined and worked for the same company that I worked for. We each worked there for about 30 years. And and that, I think, came about, just a sidebar, when Judith and I were in Hamilton. I got a call from you one morning saying you're being recruited, I think, by another insurance company. And I said, well, before you make a decision, why don't you talk to Manuel? And there you go. But in any event, and 5 years later, or into the 70s, there's a luncheon that's been called for a manager that we both knew and had worked for in our early years. And it was being held, I believe, in Toronto. Don was then in his head office role as sort of director of agencies and that sort of thing, and I was in Toronto at that point in time in a branch, so we weren't, working under the same roof by any means, but we were working with the same company, so we're still in touch, and I was invited to this because I'd worked with that manager as well. And it was a small group, it wasn't a large group, I think there were the staff maybe down from London, I can't remember exactly. It's a lovely lunch in some restaurant in Toronto, and when it comes to the end of the lunch, as is the custom, since Don's representing head office, Don asks for the bill, which is, expected. And I'm there. I don't have any particular senior role at that time, but I'm understanding that. So the bill comes. Don gives the waiter his credit card. Waiter takes the credit card. A couple of minutes later, and he comes back and says, I'm sorry, Mr. Cunningham, but your card won't work. I think it's expired. And Don looks like shocked by this. And then he looks at me in some sort of pleading way, can you bail me out? Didn't say it. And I, of course, being a compassionate person that I am, as you can tell, I said, sure, let me help out. I got my credit card out, the bill got paid. As soon as I'd signed the check to assure the bill was paid, this big laugh comes out of the sky, saying, I've been waiting for 5 years for this, and I've been carrying that credit card around all that time, just waiting for the opportunity to get it. So that's the nature of our relationship. We've had a lot of fun together, we pulled stuff on each other, we continue to do as recently as this past week. I said I'd love to know to you, I think, asking Don about the party. I said, Don, is it a surprise party? He said, yes. I said, are the drinks and food free? And he didn't respond. I said, we'll be there, but I forget, where are you holding it? And he said, the Oaks. That's this week he did that. I've wisened up over the years, so I've learned to catch on with change. Anyway, there's many, many stories. I won't go into all of them, but we've shared an enjoyable friendship. We continue to do that. Whether we're playing poker, golfing any odd time, seeing each other, it's enjoying coffee together, whatever we can work out when we can work it out. It's been great. When people ask me about Don, I say, he's a good guy. Donnie is the real deal. And I'm really pleased he's my friend. So happy birthday, my good friend, and many, many more.
Make sure he gets another drink ticket.
That's what had to happen. Anybody else want to come up?
I will come up.
Oh.